Alright, so anyway, I'm not going to zoom in too much here because I really don't want everybody to know my family business, or parts of it anyway. I'm a pretty well open book, but there's certain things I just don't want on the internet because you never know who's listening. This is the tree through Ancestry.com. Now up here in the corner it says here that you can hire an expert. Now I'd recommend that you stay away from that because part of this is that it's the fun of doing it and researching. I mean, if you like doing that, the research alone and seeing what's out there that isn't even connected to you, because you may start researching a name that you're finding interesting, and then you find out near the end of it that it's not even related to you, so you've done that research for nothing. But at the same token, there's certain things you find out, and then you got to start over again. So if it comes to a point to where you're definitely froze up, you don't like it, well, you can't do it, well, experts are going to help you, but they're going to cost you, you know, and they're going to cost you for every generation that they find for you. So stay away from that if you can. Excuse me. So anyway, this is where I'm kind of at this point. I'm still working up on the father's side. Now I just opened up my great great grandmother's side. And now all these little leaves, these are all hints. So if I was to click on this one, for instance, Abigail, there'd be a lot of hints there. And those hints can bring me into different backgrounds. Alright, I'll click on it for a minute. Okay, see up here it says 2 hints. I don't know if you're seeing that or not. And I can go to profile. Yeah, I can. Every now and then it's a little slow. And it can tell me, okay, now this is my 5th grandmother. My 5th great grandmother, okay? You go to the lifestyle, a life story, it tells you a little bit of story about it. Now this little story is something that, as I go along, I can edit it, or if somebody else happens to be in this here, they can edit it. And Ancestry does a little of it, because Ancestry picks up a lot of what you're doing and they start to create this story themselves. Okay, so you have a lot of input going here. You can't always go by this though, because you don't know who's entering what. You know, if they're not in my tree, they can't enter it. But if this name is in their tree, they can enter it. You follow me? And their name may be in that tree someplace, so who knows? I'm not the only one looking this up, I'm sure. Like I said earlier, you never know who's out there, so, you know, there's billions of people hanging around, so we have to, you know, kind of pay attention. But meanwhile, it kind of tells you what's going on here. And that's how that works. And it says her mother was named Jane, and she was 25 years old when she had Abigail, apparently. And then there was also Williams, which is the husband, and I'm not going to mention his last name because that could take us off to another story. But meanwhile, if I click on hints, there's 2 hints here. Here's the 2 hints. Now I can review them or I can ignore them. If I do nothing, they're always going to be there. Alright, and there's something that you want to look at because it may bring you further on. So there's 2 hints here. So if I were to look on view, now we have a couple of hints over here, and it starts telling me a little bit more about it. Alright, the spouse was William. We had a number of children. We had an Abigail, a Williams, a Benjamin, a Lionel, and Alan, Allison, Anna. I have no idea what that one is. Diana, and a few others. So I guess my great-great-great-grandmothers have been pretty busy. Or at least my great-great-great-great-grandfathers have been busy. Now meanwhile, there's a little box up here in the corner. So if this information all matches what I need it to match, which is over here, this is what's in my tree, then I can click on that box and it'll take that information and add it into mine, which helps me later because it'll give me potentials, people that could be part of the family somehow. Now this one is the father. Okay, see now this one, the father of Udell was Lionel. So at that point I want to click on that because I want to be able to follow her father, because her father is naturally related to me, you know, by many years ago. So we click on it. Now we go down here. Now these are other family trees. These are other people that have this name in that tree. So these are other people that are searching and looking out there and found it. So, you know, she may be, you know, a 10th time grandfather or grandmother to somebody, or a 2 times grandmother to somebody. All right. So that's kind of how this works. So, you know, these are all different family trees. Now if I want to look at that tree, this particular person's tree, I can click on it. Sometimes, well, let's see. Sometimes it'll let you in, sometimes it won't. Alright, all it did here was show me this information. So this is what's in his tree. Alright, and apparently it was a sister of somebody of theirs that was related to a Mercy or something like that. Okay, so it's sister, uncle, brother-in-law, cousin, that type of thing with him. Or I can click here where it says owner of this tree, and I can ask him a question. How is Abigail, you know, related to you? And he can answer me back. So if there's any questions, you know, we can kind of answer back and forth, you know, where the connection may be. And or ignore it. Ignore one another, you know. Now I have had a couple get back to me and say, can't help you. Not a problem. You know, they just don't want to be involved. And I can understand that. You know, it's privacy. And they may not want that out there. Okay, now here's another one. This one here is definitely a relation because of all the names involved. And the dates of birth. You want to look at the dates of birth or the death date, a town, a city, a state, a country. You want to check all these things, because if you don't, you're going to be following somebody that has nothing to do with you. And then you're going to end up wasting a lot of time going nowhere. So do your research before you click the button to make sure that you are where you are, because there's a lot of them here. See, all these are related to this Abigail Udell. Oh, wait a minute. Now, see that name? I want that name, because that name is a direct name to what's my sixth grandfather. See, this name doesn't ring a bell at all, so I'm not going to worry about that one. Okay, so now down here I can hit review the sections that I just highlighted, and now it's going to put me into it a little bit deeper, so I can do a little bit more research on those names to make sure that I am somewhere close. Okay, so this one is a child to Abigail. Alright, so this one is an Abigail. She's named after her mother, but she has her father's last name, because Abigail Udell was a maiden name. Alright, now I really don't want to get into the child side of it right now. I can always go back to that and start researching it. I want to stay within the parents and the grandparents right now. You know, down the line, you know, I mean, these could be distant cousins of mine, you know, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 10th removed. But again, I don't want to get into that right now. So if it's not a male, I won't click on it. If it's a male, I'll click on it. Now here's a name. I don't know how to pronounce that name, so let's play it.
Erastus.
Erastus. Now, by the way, this little program I'm using to click on it, that has nothing to do with Ancestry.
Erastus.
Erastus. Okay. Let me research him a little bit. This program that I'm using now is a Google Translator program.
Diadema.
Who?
Diadema.
That name is in my family somewhere?
Diadema. Diadema.
Well, that, just by the name alone, is worth researching. Even if it takes me nowhere, it's worth researching.
Hezekiah.
Hezekiah. I remember a Hezekiah Mason. So he's already checked. I didn't have to check him. So now we're going to save these to my tree. Now, it doesn't put them in the tree, but it puts them in the package of the tree, so to speak. So once I get near there, they may come up in there as a potential, because right now Ancestry is researching all that to try to put it together somehow. Alright. I mean, it's all done by computer, you know, and some naturally human input, but you have to pay attention because you don't know. They can make a mistake. Now here's another hint. So let's see what this hint has to say. Well, this may be, it is Abigail. It's got the right year, 1762. She died in 1836. Yeah.